At first, she thought it was just the city. New York is loud. Strange. Alive. But this was different. The sound didn't come from outside. It came from inside her walls. Emma was 20 when she moved to Brooklyn. A second-year college student, studying journalism, juggling 2 part-time jobs, and trying to prove to everyone, especially herself, that she could survive alone. The apartment wasn't great. A shoebox, really. Peeling paint. Creaky floors. But it was cheap. And it was hers. The first night, she barely slept. Not because of the traffic or sirens. It was something else, something softer. A sound. A whisper. Low. Muffled. Almost like a man muttering to himself, just above her bed. She sat up, staring at the air vent in the ceiling. Silence. She laughed it off. Thin walls, maybe. Old pipes. Her imagination. But the next night, it came again. Same time, around 2 a.m. A faint voice. Whispering words she couldn't quite catch. She turned up her fan to drown it out. Then things started disappearing. Her toothbrush vanished first. She assumed she knocked it into the trash. Then a single earring. A pair of socks. A spoon. Tiny things. Easy to overlook. But they weren't in the trash. They weren't under the couch. They were just gone. One evening, she found the cabinet door under her sink slightly open. She was sure she'd closed it earlier. The whispering came back that night. Longer. Closer. She pressed her ear to the vent and held her breath. And she swore, she heard her name. Whispered. Twice. Emma told herself she was being paranoid. Sleep-deprived. Overworked. But she needed proof. Something to convince herself that she wasn't losing it. So she bought a bag of flour. That night, she sprinkled it in front of the front door, the windows, and, finally, beneath the air vent. She set up her phone to record. Kept the lights off. Climbed into bed. And waited. Sleep eventually dragged her under. In the morning, she checked the flour. The door. Undisturbed. The windows. Clean. But under the vent. Footprints. Bare. Human. Leading out. And none, going back in. She called the police. 2 officers arrived. They searched the apartment. The locks hadn't been tampered with. Nothing seemed off. Until one of them unscrewed the vent. Behind it was a narrow crawlspace, tight, dark, filled with dust. They pulled out a rope ladder. Followed it up. What they found didn't belong to any tenant. A nest. A sleeping bag. Old food wrappers. Water bottles. Polaroids of past tenants. A journal. And bones. Curled in a fetal position. Decayed. Dry. Human. He had been there for years. Inside the walls. Crawling through air ducts. Slipping behind vents. Navigating forgotten maintenance shafts like a predator in a maze. Unseen. Unheard. Watching. Every movement was deliberate. Every breath he took, a secret. He studied them, the tenants. Tracking their routines. Their weaknesses. And he wrote everything down. His journal, found much later, was a descent into madness. Filled with obsession. Twisted admiration. And plans. The ghost had a name once, Daryl. He worked maintenance long ago. Quiet. Unnoticed. Always just, there. But something broke inside him. He didn't leave when he was fired. He stayed. And one by one, tenants started disappearing. No one suspected the walls. No one imagined he was still inside. Until the bodies surfaced. Hidden within the very structure he once maintained. Behind a panel in Emma's apartment. But they hadn't trapped him. They'd only made him angry. That night, Emma heard the whispers again. The same voice she'd ignored for years. Soft. Cold. Beckoning. Calling her name over and over. But this time, everyone heard it. Tenants across the building. The same whisper. The same name. Then came the first victim. A tenant in the unit beside Emma's. Found butchered in their bed. And written in blood on the wall, "I'll be back for the rest." Especially Emma. And the two officers, Frank and Moore, who disturbed my peace. Panic gripped the building. The tenants begged the police to return. This time, they came in full force. Room by room. Every air vent. Every crawl space. Every dark corner. Then, a discovery. A dry bone, curled with age, still wrapped in scraps of rotted flesh. They pushed the search outside. Behind the building, under a pile of old debris. A uniform. Filthy. Blood-stained. Buried in the dirt. Human hair. Clothing fragments. Relics of people long gone. The trail didn't end. It just faded. Like smoke. No beginning. No end. Just terror buried deep beneath layers of time. Still, the officers tried to calm the tenants. "He's gone," they said. "The ghost has moved on." But someone was missing. Emma. The head officer sent Frank and Moore to check on her. When they entered her apartment, the room was still. Too still. Emma was on the floor. Motionless. And then he struck. The ghost attacked with inhuman fury, dragging them into the dark before either could scream. When backup arrived, they found the door ajar. Inside, 3 corpses. Emma. Frank. Moore. And scrawled across the wall in thick, smeared blood, "I didn't leave." That night, the building emptied. No one looked back. No one returned. Years later, the government ordered it demolished. New walls were raised. Fresh paint. Clean floors. But under the new coat, on one wall, barely visible beneath layers of white, the message remained, "I didn't leave." So tell me, do you really think the ghost won't disturb the government? Let me know in the comments. And if this story gave you chills, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Because the next story might be about the place you call home.